This episode was amazing, but they left out so much. Some of the best parts of the battles between the S-rank hunters were left out in my opinion, whether it was the fights against the Japanese hunters or Goto Ryuji getting traumatized after witnessing the power of our boy Samsung. This episode gave us incredible scenes like the birth of the End King, but it also cut several waters, and I'm here to tell all about it. First, let's talk about Goto Ryuji and what the anime didn't show you about this guy, who is horrible. Goto and Japan's reasons for helping Koreans aren't pure altruistic. He is not there because they need to eliminate this threat or because Japan was already attacked. Goto is an S-rank hunter, the strongest in Asia, being behind only Toliuzi Gang, a national rank hunter. But he's not satisfied being an S-rank hunter. He has the ambitions to become a national level hunter and stand on the same level as Thomas Andre and Liuzi Gang. And one thing that all national level hunters have in common is that they have all cleared the S-rank gates, the most difficult ones that exist. And that's why he believes that, given his track record, if he managed to complete this ride on Jeju Island, he will secure his position as a national level hunter. And not only that would be amazing for him, but for Japan as well, and for his guild of course, which would only help him to grow stronger. So these are the intentions behind Goto Ryuji and his guild in this situation. And another thing that was cut was Goto's arrival in Korea. When he landed by plane, it happened at the same time as Thomas Andre was left in the country, and he found it strange that someone of such caliber was there, so they assumed he was just a hunter visiting the country, since according to him, Korea didn't have hunters of that level. And this was also the first time he openly looked down on Korea since his introduction in the history. Now jumping to the association gym where the episode begins, they cut out quite a bit, which is understandable since those details aren't really crucial to the history, but let me tell you everything. When Sung arrived, he caught the attention of some Japanese hunters, including Goto himself, who would comment that Sung would be an exceptional assassin-type hunter, only to later find out he was actually a mage, which surprised him. That's because Sung doesn't carry himself like a typical mage. Here we also had Lim from the Viper Guild, who would comment that Sung ruined Min Sung's debut just by being there at the same day. And we also saw some interactions between the Japanese hunters, learning that not all of them get along very well. And then there's this masked guy, who has a problem with the sense of hunters, just like Hae-In, and he took an interest in her because he realized that she also had a sensitive nose, and he wanted to approach her. Meanwhile, Goto Ryuji and his interpreter were watching the fight between Baek Hyun-woo and Ma Dong-wook, and she asked if this was really the best hunters on Korea, saying that at best they were mediocre. And while Goto agreed with her, he still acknowledged that Hae-In was someone is exceptional, standing apart of the others in terms of quality. And in fact, Hae-In is undoubtedly in the top of Korea's hunters. And during this conversation between Goto and his interpreter, the guildmaster of Knight's Guild, Park, who understands Japanese, overheard their remarks and the blatant disdain they showed toward Korea hunters. And if you notice, this is already the second time that the anime has cut the open contempt that the Japanese hunters had for the Koreans, probably to avoid controversy since the anime is being made in Japan. Here, Park really stepped in to defend his colleagues. However, the interpreter didn't act like she had said something wrong, and she even looked down on him a bit, disregarding him because he was just an A-rank hunter. And when Park fired back, saying she was nothing more than an interpreter, she challenged him right there. She was Hanekawa, an A-rank hunter from Japan, and she didn't seem willing to back down here. With both of them irritated, they decided to settle this dispute in the ring. The main rule was simple: the first to grab their opponent's wrist would win. And from the start, Park didn't even bother adjusting his stance or taking it seriously. He stayed relaxed, as if there was no need to put in any effort. And when Hanekawa charged at full speed, Park easily dodged all her attempts and even kicked her, just to show that he could win if he wanted. And when she tried again, this time more serious and attempting to distract him, he was still faster and better. He grabbed her wrists effortless, securing an easy victory, and she didn't even understand what happened there. Park then pointed out that she seemed like the type of hunter who always hid behind the tankers and had no real experience in one-on-one combat. He continued saying that sometimes the enemies aren't just monsters, and if he had a sword right now, she would already be dead. And watching this unfold, Goto was impressed and then suggested the S-rank battles that we see in the anime. And then at this point the episode is starting. Now the S-rank battles is something I really appreciated. One of the coolest things about the anime of solo leveling in my opinion is how they are extending the fights, making them longer and more intense, and that's awesome for me. From the very start of the fight, the Japanese hunters didn't take them lightly, quite the opposite, they prepared well, and some of them were even excited about the battle, like the guy in the tank top. I also like how this fight is one of the few moments in the entire series where characters like Ma Dong-wook and Lim actually get some spotlight, because let's be honest, they are irrelevant most of the time. But at least during this arc they will have more scenes, and this is cool. Also, the masked guy fighting against Beck was looking for trouble from the start. The anime cut this part, but he actually thought it was ridiculous that Yeon-woo was wasting his energy trying to grab his wrist or back, and since this Japanese only follow his own rules, the law of the strongest, he was aiming to kill Beck completely here. He didn't care about the rules or everyone else in the room. The problem is, he is also a coward, so while he has the intention of killing Beck, he usually hesitates to go through that. And then fast forwarding until only Beck and Hae-In were left in the arena, we got the absolutely amazing moment of Hae-In destroying the Japanese hunter like it was nothing. This scene showed exactly why she is recognized as one of the Korea's most powerful hunters. It's not just her strength and speed, her combat style, her techniques, all of them are incredible. And that's when the real chaos begins. She hits the weird guy and he completely loses it. We find out that when he gets mad, he turns into a completely different person. He loses all of his rationality and intelligent thoughts. He can't tell the difference between teammates and enemies. He attacks literally everyone around him, and it is strong enough to clear a B-rank gate on his own. But Sung takes him down effortlessly, and that catches Goto's interest. He wants to see how strong Sung really was, and understand what's going on with someone who is called a mage and moves like an assassin. And the start of their fight is pretty close to the original, which I really liked. It's intense, we see that Goto didn't hold back as much as some people thought, and that Sung can easily react to him. And the only thing I didn't like so much were Goto's light-hearted attitude. Look at manga, Goto was constantly making serious expressions and unleashing his aura throughout his entire scene with Sung. Now compared to the anime version wasn't bad, but it lacked weight, you know, a sense of seriousness. Also before the fight, Goto actually told the Japanese healer to be on standby in the case of something getting hurt, but he specially mentioned Sung, saying that Sung would need her help. And then we got to the actual fight. During the battle, Goto became more and more frustrated, especially with Sung smiling as he effortlessly dodged him all over. And after failing to land a hit on Sung after all this time, that's when he decided to go for the kill. And at that moment, the system would have warned Sung. It tells him that an enemy nearby has killing intent towards him. And because of that, Sung decided to end this fight quickly, otherwise the system might command him to kill Goto, like it had done in the past, and that wouldn't be good for anyone here. And then as we see in the anime, they both go all out, but are stopped by others, since nothing good would have come from this. But what the anime didn't show you was the other side of the arena. Goto was frozen in place, sweating cold, and struggling to breathe. He clearly felt something that shook him. He sensed his own defeat at Sung's hand, but we will talk more about that later, as it happens in a later scene. After that, a scene that was cut from the anime was Sung taking down a criminal. As we know, he had stationed some of his shadows around his neighborhood to patrol and keep watch. Throughout one of them, he spotted a criminal threatening a woman with a knife, clearly about to do something terrible with her, but Sung intervenes to save her, and when the guy attacks him like a maniac, his knife doesn't even leave a scratch on the S-rank hunter, and Sung immediately slashes him with his own knife, and then he orders the guy to turn himself to the police before midnight if he don't want to die. And to make sure he does that, Sung sends an orc shadow to his shadow, saying that the shadow should kill him if he didn't turn himself. And here Sung is basically impersonating Batman. Moving forward with the episode, we have the sickest scene of the entire series for me, the scene with the ants. This gave me some serious vibes from Hunter x Hunter, and I absolutely love it. It was beautiful, incredible, majestic. The queen thinking about how the food is running scarce, how they needed to leave the island to thrive, how they needed their king to lead their kingdom, and then right after he's born, going throughout his insane metamorphosis, awakening and proving he's the strongest there. In my opinion, this was the best addition that the anime has ever made so far. It was incredible. And then at that night at the same time, we finally got the reason of why Goto was in that state, pale, trembling, and even drenched in goat sweat. Here he was shaking as he recalled his fight against Sang, because in that moment he felt his own death. From the chilling aura surrounding Sang, Goto knew he would have died if the others hadn't stepped in to stop the fight. In fact, his hand was even left with a mark where Sang had grabbed him earlier, such a badass detail, and that's how Sang traumatized the Japanese hunter Goto Ryuji. So comes the next day, and with him, the Jeju Island raid begins. And as for the start of the raid, the adaptation was spot on, no mistakes, and actually they even improved all the scenes, especially the arrival of Jin-Woo reuniting with Dake. This was very cool. And then we go to the end of the episode, with Shimizu dropping dead out of nowhere in the middle of the conversation with Kenzo, and that moment was pure insanity. What an incredible way to end an episode and introduce an arc. This was sick and I loved it. But that is for today, guys. Subscribe to the channel to support my work and drop the like to help the video if you liked the cut content. Now I'm out.